Normally on Thursdays, Uncle Lou joins us, but since I escaped jail this week and everything, he's gracious enough to join us again on this Friday for Uncle Lou here as well. So, Uncle Lou, are you there?
Gentlemen,
there he is. Look at him. He's ready to go.
Well, first of all, it's 9:07 and my contract says 900. You two blowhards been talking about whatever for so long I couldn't squeeze in. But that's another subject. I am fired up, and I'm fired up because we got World Series, NFL. I know there's a couple other sports beginning, but I don't pay much attention to them. But there's also Breeders' Cup this weekend. So
nice.
Uncle Louis spinning a lot of plates. And I'm tickled to be here with you. And it's always fun, Dale, when you're with us to fold in some of your thoughts. But I want to start with this, if I may.
Go ahead.
Be so presumptuous as to start in. What if I told you that Wentz went to Minnesota coaching and begged to stay in as long as he could because he was yearning to play in high-stakes NFL games, because that was what was actually reported on the NFL Network this week. And so, Steve, while your take is very opinionated, I would have you maybe do some research before you have said opinions, because the dude's a warrior and wanted to stay in as long as he could.
You are correct. But I do not want to hear anybody in the NFL tell me it's about player safety ever again. Every player worth the salt wants to play through concussions, all of that stuff. And what do? They take their helmet away, they put them in the blue tent, and they protect them from themselves. That is the role of the team. That is the role of the doctors, to protect them from themselves, regardless of what the player wants. And whether it's a shoulder injury, whether it's a concussion, if you're going to do it for concussions, you're going to do it for other stuff, you do it for that stuff as well. He was not healthy. That was an embarrassment to watch, and it was a bad watch.
I'm a quarterback. I throw with my right arm, and the left arm could come off. Ronnie Lott cut a piece of his finger off at halftime one time.
That doesn't happen anymore.
This is a warrior mentality. And as far as I'm concerned, that dude earns favor with me when he comes to me and says, I can go, I just don't have a
I'm not bashing Carson Wentz at all. I'm bashing the organization in the NFL because they tell us all about safety, safety, safety. Did you see him on the sideline? He's practically like passing out with the pain and everything. And they're like, get back out there, kid. Go have fun.
Well, the blue pill hadn't kicked in yet.
At the shot.
That's right. Anyway, there's just that take, and it's a great discussion. I think I love the warrior mentality, but I also adhere to, especially in the UFC, there comes a time you got to protect the athlete.
That's all I'm saying.
So I also agree with what you say, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing in the UFC. I see a guy getting his head beat in, and I'm like, hey, he signed up for this. But at some point you go, enough. He doesn't got it. Call it enough. It's the same situation. That's all I'm pointing. Like I said, I'm not knocking Carson Wentz at all. God bless him, because that mentality is leaving us as we get older and younger generations.
We definitely don't have that in Phoenix. I can tell you that. In any of our sports teams.
Before we get into your introduction, World Series, Game 6 tonight. Yamamoto's on the mound. Game 7 tomorrow if necessary. I think it's going Game 7. I think Dale said he's going Game 7. And that's because I'm just holding it on to Yamamoto's going to go out and do what he does from that. So what's your thoughts on the World Series?
And my thoughts are that we've been waiting for the Dodgers to do what they've done all year long. And what they've done is not been able to hit and have good pitching. We'll see. Yamamoto's been so white hot. If in fact he does, if you're of the ilk that you believe he's going to dominate again, I would use him as MVP of the World Series, because if it goes to Game 7 and the Dodgers win, how do you not look at him?
Yeah, true.
However, I believe there's a team that is wondering and a team waiting, and the team waiting's Toronto, and they're waiting to have a parade.
Yeah, that does worry me a little bit tonight also with Yamamoto on the mound. Are they going to press a little bit too much at home after being on the road, right? I mean, they won 2 out of 3 there in L.A., where L.A. was at home. Going back to Toronto, I could see Game 6 going a little sideways for them at some point with them pressing a little bit, meaning not hitting as much. And so I do think Toronto does win the series, though, overall, whether it's tonight or in Game 7. So,
I mean, who doesn't want to see 7 games? The network, everybody wants it. I just think tonight it's Don Meredith singing "Turn Out the Lights, the party's over."
I hope you're right. I'm not a Canadian guy at all. I always have fun with Canada and blame them for a lot of stuff.
How about this, Steve?
But they're good.
How about Florida for the last 4 or 5 years owning the Stanley Cup, and now Toronto has a chance to own the baseball championship. I mean, what a great statement for world sports and one culture of sports competition.
Every time you post the Canadian flag and say "Oh Canada," I get a little mad at you when I see it pop up on my feed. So I have fun with Canada. I don't have a problem.
I'm
I just have
my
fun
Canadian
with
friend.
Hey, Lou, the performance of I can't say his last name. Yes, Savage Trey, the pitcher for Toronto.
Yes, Savage.
When I'm sitting there watching that game, and I've watched more this World Series than recent World Series. I've watched majority of innings, stayed up till midnight to watch that 18-inning game and things like that. But the journey that this Trey kid went on this year, he started off in rookie ball, and then went to single A and double A and triple A, and now he's pitching like that in the World Series. That's crazy.
And mowing down the Dodgers, who seemingly had no shot of losing this series going in. And not only that, but you have that story, you have Yamamoto's story, and let's not brush under the rug what this goofy Ohtani has done, for crying out loud. Yes. That dude, I mean, the fact that we get to watch that, as I search my microfiche to try and find any form of sports output that equals that, I can only go to Jim Thorpe that no one would remember. Or, quite honestly, I got to give it to Dion, who can play in an NFL game one day, take a flight to a Major League Baseball game, start, and contribute and actually dominate in a baseball game. But what Ohtani has done is rare air, and we're privileged to watch it.
I don't. When people talk about Ohtani, nobody compares him to like a Dion. That is a good point. Different positions, obviously.
To me, that's the only level comparison for me. I respect all opinions.
So Lou, let's get into it, man. Let's
Are we gonna introduce him?
That's what I say. Tell everybody where you where you're from, where they can find you, all that good stuff, like always. And of course, gamblu.com.
Well, it's been a good week, so now I want to tell you where how to get a hold of it. So it's gamblu.com. That's the one-stop shop to find all about me, what I do. I'm a sports handicapper. I try and shoot with a rifle at just a few sports, so I specialize in order to try and earn. And the webpage will give you all the information about me. You can see as you drop down to the blog. I do blogs. I do UFC work. But the most important thing I do is publicize the great work the people at the San Xavier Mission just south of Tucson in Arizona are doing. It's the oldest mission in the country. I love to try and give them a little run with my webpage, and every time I get a chance to, because they're doing outstanding work there, and we always route part of Gamblu proceeds directly to the mission. And as they have scrolled down there to show you the link, you don't have to do it through me. Just go ahead and hit the link and take a look at their webpage. It's a great, great cause, and I appreciate Steve for allowing me to mention it every single week.
Absolutely, man. It's great out there. And your blog this week's a lot of fun. Usually a good read with a lot of facts and kind of things to look at. You make picks in there as well coming into that. But obviously, we'll start with UFC here. And obviously last week there in Abu Dhabi was an interesting fight week from that perspective, for that big fight there. Obviously, the big one I want to ask you about is the main event there with, sorry, help me out.
Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gane.
Thank you. Why can I not remember Gane's name for the life of me? It's amazing. But obviously, that ended with a poke in the eye. I read the other day that Aspinall's camp came out and said he still can't see out of that eye. The crowd booed him with that. I mean, it was a nasty poke, no doubt about it. But I even saw your tweet that said, how they handled that and things to that effect. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that main event ending that way.
everyone that watched it could see that they were up to the point of coercing him to stay in. I can't see. Hold on, take your time. I can't see. Take your time, no problem. The goal and the directive clearly from the judges and the referee is to not stop the fight because there's too much money in the fight going on, number one. So you have that air from the organization and pressure on these fighters when they get poked in the eye. The detriment, the penalty for if you could be offsides one play in an NFL game and never have it cost you a penalty, you would take that. Each team would utilize that. Well, in the UFC, there is no immediate penalty for poking in the eye, and poking in the eye is something that is done on purpose 90% of the time. On occasion, somebody scrapes an eye, but in this case, Cyril Gane fights out of the same camp in Paris that Imavov fights on. Imavov, if you research his fights, in every single fight he has, he pokes his opponent in the eye in the first round. And when you get poked and you keep going, you're at a detriment. And why wouldn't you poke the guy if you're not going to get any kind of immediate penalty? So things have to change. Aspinall got brutally poked. And was he losing the fight up till then? Yep. And did it look bad? Yep. But this is a world-class championship fighter that's been held back for defending his title for months because of the John Jones situation. Anyone insinuating that he took a sidestep is just completely wrong and doesn't understand the makeup of the fighter. It's unfortunate for Gane, but Gane is the one that made the penalty. And I'm convinced that those open fingers were not by accident.
Well, that's the thing. I saw a slow-mo of it before I saw the actual, fight part of it. And, I mean, it should just be some sort of penalty if you're going into a face or even going into a punch with your hand open. That just should not be allowed because that's obviously what he was trying to poke him, whether in the eye, the nose, whatever. There's only one reason you're going in. It's to slap him or do some damage with the open fingers. It was that obvious, even to me, where I was like, oh, that's all. That's what he was trying to do out there. And you're right. If there's no punishment, what's his punishment for that not continuing?
He's done it before. Hasn't been punished. Why would he stop?
Yeah.
So, but what would be your solution to that? Is there a way, like I guess in boxing or wrestling, you can deduct a point or whatever. There's just nothing happens to the fighter in UFC. What would be your solution?
Yeah, any eye poke would be an immediate 2-point deduction if the other fighter can go on. If the other fighter can't go on it's an immediate loss to the poker.
Okay.
I mean,
that's the thing. Yeah, you have an actual loss.
I don't F around, man. I want it out, and so I'll get it out.
Right.
But will the UFC do that?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was and that the thing that also is absolutely terrible if you're in the UFC's perspective is that's the main event. That's what everybody's tuning in to watch, especially a pay-per-view event, right? Everybody plopped down $80 or at a bar or whatever, and they're looking forward to that specific fight. And then in the first round there, right? Where that happens, it's just not a good way to end the evening if you can.
And gamblers were all there's no gamble. You had parlays into this, that, the other thing. About the only way to grease out of that result was if you were a Gamblu.com investor, because we took Aspinall at the beginning of the year to be the heavyweight champion 12-31 of 25, and because of that decision now. They're not fighting until January, guys, and come 12/31, I got almost 6 units on Aspinall. Now, that result is one that happened to work spectacularly for us, but don't think I wasn't biting my nails leading up to what they were going to do.
Two other fights I wanted to ask you about was the co-main event there, Mackenzie Dern and Janaroba there. Dern ends up getting the win. And I saw a lot of people leading up to that fight. You kind of alluded to this last week. You didn't allude to it. You said it. Just, how Dern looks, when she's weighing in. And I saw one person say she should get a bonus just for her theatrics on the weigh-in. and stuff. She goes out there, she beats Janaroba in that fight. You had thought that was going to happen last week, but your thoughts on Dern and then also on Verna Janaroba as well as women fighters here in the UFC.
I love Verna, and she's great, but this was her first time in a 5-rounder, first time in a championship event, and it wasn't for Dern. And Dern, through her whole life, has been in high-degree championship competitions. So that fight went just like we thought. Dern in decision. We had it that way. It was a really good week for us in the UFC, which is always very nice. And so Dern now is the champion. She's attractive and vivacious, has a good personality, and you can tell that was a better choice for them as a champion than Verna, who is Brazilian, has a hard time speaking the language, and isn't near as vivacious nor as physically attractive and curvaceous as is young Ms. Dern.
So when you look, does the UFC, are they cheering or quietly behind the scenes cheering for certain fighters to climb the ladder to become a champion, whether it's men or women, people who can draw attention, people who are charismatic, that kind of stuff, or they're gonna sell the same amount of pay-per-views whoever's fighting?
No, they're owned by an entertainment group. They bonus on finishes and violence. And they want to see finishes and violence, and they go out of their way to making certain that the fighters know that if they want to get a 50K or 100K bonus, just go out and knock the other guy out. If you go out and play pitter-patter and want to wrestle and leg hump for 3 rounds and just control the guy from top position, you're going to have your 2 or 3 fights in the contract, and then they're going to either ship you to Russia to fight Godzilla where you're going to get creamed or you're just going to fall out. But they want results, they want blood and violence, they want knockouts, and that's what you better be aware of as you're handicapping this sport. This sport is starting to turn from a pure mixed martial arts culture to a culture of greed and avarice and distrust that boxing went through. I see the same things happening, and I'm going to really try and be cautious to be on the right side of where I sense things may be going. And attractive Ms. Dern was exhibit A of trying to be on the right side of that.
Okay.
Mario Bautista, MMA Lab guy, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. He went up against Umar Nurmagomedov. I knew I was going to do it. As soon as I looked at it, I knew I shouldn't have looked down. But they fought unanimous decision there. I know he was at a disadvantage, Bautista, in this fight, but being a local kid there as well, how did he show there for that unanimous decision against him?
Spectacularly. First of all, Umar showed very, very well, because if Umar didn't provide his best effort, he was going to get beat. And you saw Mario hit him in the first round, knock him right on his rear. So Umar, I have great respect for after that fight. More for Bautista, who it was going to take Umar's best effort to beat Mario Bautista. Bautista's a legitimate top 5 and championship aspirant in the bantamweight division, fighting out of the lab. And this setback is only his second. His first was in his debut against number 2 ranked Sandhagen, who just fought for the title. So Bautista has solidified his position as top 5 bantamweight material with that fight.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because that local kid, obviously MMA Lab up there at I-17 and Bell Road. So
Yes,
we pay attention to those guys up there and give them their props when it's necessary. Then we got this week, right? We got a couple Apex fights coming up in a row. We haven't seen that in a while. Usually they spread those out a little bit here, but this weekend, got Garcia and Onama is the main carder. 4 p.m. on Saturday is when the main card gets underway. From fabulous Las Vegas up there. And, typical Apex cards, I go through it. There's only 2 or 3 guys that I recognize and, notice here on this card. So, as always, I defer to you here, especially in the prelim side of the fights, on the prelims specifically. Any fights we should pay attention to? Any battles that we shouldn't miss here coming up in this fight this weekend?
Not at all. We just should go to the main card. I'm kidding.
Hey, perfect. Sounds good. That's why I
But
defer
there
to
are,
you.
there's like 3 women's fights
Yeah.
there. I mean, that's like when you go to the movies and in between commercials, they show you the popcorn and the pop and everything like that. I mean, they're just going to get those in. But there's a few fights that I am totally interested in on that undercard. Let's go first to Bulgarian and Del Valle. Bulgarian, a United States kid, and he's going to be the one with the experience and the pedigree in this fight. They're fighting at 145 pounds. Bulgarian's about a 2-1 favorite. Devalle is a Cuban fighter coming in less experienced, but he's violent and he's dangerous. And I think Bulgarian is getting too much attention at this point in time. In fact, let me make sure I'm quoting the correct price here for young Mr. Devalle.
Yeah, I haven't. I'm pulling it up now. It's not up yet for me, so I apologize.
Yeah, he is. You can catch him plus 210, 215, depending where you shop.
Just so everybody knows, DraftKings right now he's plus 230. So yeah.
So the way I'm going to approach this is we're going to take him on the points handicap. What's that? Well, you'll see when you shop DraftKings, you'll see Devalle plus 7.5 minus 110.
Mm-hmm.
And so I believe that this fight, line 2.5 over with some money to the over. I believe that Devalle is going to be much more competitive in this fight than people are giving him credit for. 2 inches taller, same age. And I believe his wrestling grappling puts him more on par with Bulgarian than the price. So Devalle plus 7.5 minus 110 is a strong consideration there. And I think he could even win the fight at plus 210. You maybe put a half unit there. Then there's another good fight that should be 2 dudes standing there throwing down. And it's at 170 welterweight. A Romanian against a USA guy. The USA guy, Charles Radke, experienced, 35 years old, chiseled up, strong, heavy-handed dude, and tough. He's fighting a guy named Frunza, Frunza from Romania. So Romania against US. Frunza's 4 inches taller, 4 years younger, 3-inch reach advantage, and a striker. This can be 2 rock'em sock'em robots fights. I really like the fight here. And Frunza, who opened at plus 105, now he's plus 120, plus 130.
Plus 150 right now on DraftKings.
Yeah, so Frunza, 150, 140, exactly. I would be patient with Frunza and wait, but I think he's a live dog on this fight. And other than that, you got a lot of women's fights here. Dumas fights Dante Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Dumas had so much trouble with the law. He gets a fight called and then he can't make it because he can't get his ankle brace off and stuff. I don't know how he trains. I know he's an underdog against a short little powder keg named Dante Johnson. I'd look at Dante Johnson via KO in that fight. I'm not going to bet it that way, but that's how I would look. And that pretty much covers those prelims for us.
Yeah, perfect. Because Mike, I know it's always different on the UFC site. On the main card here, what about Waldo Cortez Acosta? We've seen him a few times here against Ante Delija, I think is how you pronounce it, from Croatia. From that fight, heavyweight bout here with these guys. And the Apex is a smaller ring, correct? With these big boys?
Yeah, exactly, Steve. So first of all, we're shoving all these fighters into a cage that has about 24% less space than a normal cage. And so it's a 25-foot cage, not 30. And so you get heavyweights in there. It's like, 2 whales in a swimming pool, man. There's not enough room for both guys to exist, but it encourages encounters, and these 2 want to encounter each other. This fight is between Cortez Acosta, a Dominican, who's got good hands, tough, good experience, has beaten better than he's lost to, or I should say he's beaten everybody. He's only lost to good caliber fighters. So his edge is probably experience here. Delija's come in quick and ferociously. He's the man that I project to be more explosive, faster, more violent, perhaps. I don't know if he can fight into the 3rd round because of his lack of experience, but we'll see if it even goes that far. I kind of like Delija here. I think the UFC is saying to him, listen, man, you've shown us so far, you keep finishing people, and you're going to get your way to the top. And I think he's going to go in there, and these two dudes are going to simply toe-to-toe throw down 2.5.
Interesting enough, because you said a finish here, just so over-under is 2.5, and it's minus 140 to the over, plus 110 to the under. So they're looking towards a decision. And those numbers.
Well, I don't say that. I wouldn't say they're looking for, but it's not minus 300 like women's fights that they're telling you it's going to decision.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I read it that it ain't. I don't think we're getting to the third round with this one.
Okay, perfect. So something for people to look out there as well from that number. And then you got Steve Garcia, David Onama. Here's the main card. I've never heard of these guys. Maybe I've seen them before, but as a layman here, tell me why I should load up my ESPN Plus app and watch these guys fight.
Because this is probably going to be the most violent fight of the second half of the year. These two dudes are both absolute sluggers and slammers. Onama is the more raw of the two, more profuse power, willing to take one to give one, and it's that willingness I think that sets him different than Garcia. Garcia is a little more precise, but still aggressive and coming forward. These two dudes are like the two rams on the side of the hill. But Garcia is going to be a little more polished, a little more precise, and much more defensive acumen. And I think that's the difference in the fight. Onama can touch him and knock him out because Garcia has been finished in his career. Onama hasn't. But we're going to see two dudes get in the middle and go after it. And I think it's going to be just a brilliant display. It's why the UFC has put these two together on this Apex card for this. Do not miss this fight. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, over-under is 1.5, minus 135 to the over in a men's championship or main event card. You don't see it like that too often on a main event. On the main card there on the.
Well, that's scheduled
main
for
fight.
5. I mean, ain't no way that thing goes 5. I don't think, but
that's what's amazing.
I think it could go over 1.5. I'm not here to give you advice on the total. I'm here to tell you that I think that the difference will be the fact that Garcia has evasive strike ability where Onama is still acquiring that.
Yeah, perfect. So any other fights that, I know we talked about a bunch of them. There's a bunch of, being an Apex fight, a bunch of people, that me as a layman has no idea. Any other fight we should pay attention to this weekend or thoughts on?
My real thoughts are with the main and co-main. We covered them both, Delija and then Stevie Garcia.
Perfect. Let's take a quick break here. Come on back and get into the NFL out there. News with the Dolphins here this morning after last night's game. I do find interesting. It's not going to do anything for the betting side because the team's terrible, but we'll at least inform you on that and talk NFL with Uncle Lou. And Dale Hellestrae's here as well, everybody. Causing problems for me today, he is.
Happy
Let's
birthday,
get Dale
Alan.
involved in.
Come on back, everybody.
Let's get Dale involved in this next segment.
We gotta extend those things. I wasn't even paying it. I was looking at the Emirates Cup courts there as well. Uncle Lou's back here as well, and Dale. He's like UFC, barbarian sport. I play sport. I play football.
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Uncle Lou joins us normally on Thursdays. Today, joining us here on Friday because of the weird schedule this week. So, just really quick, the news out of Dolphins camp. They said that Mike McDaniel will be the head coach through at least the end of the year. And then they fired the GM today.
And they fired the GM?
They're parting ways is what is being reported right now. So GM gone, Mike McDaniel staying for at least the rest of the year.
That's very interesting because my sources were telling me that it was going to be the other way around, that it was going to be the coach gone and the GM that stayed. And the reason for that was potentially that the GM knew too much of the history of Miami over the last 5-6 years. If we're aware of what's gone on down there, there's been a number of questionable moves and tactics. And so the fact that they are now going to get rid of that GM, it'll be interesting to see if there's any repercussion now that relationship is severed. As far as McDaniel is concerned, let's face it, guys, you put Achane, a healthy Tyreek Hill, Waddle together. I mean, he's not incompetent. He may not be designed to be the perfect head coach for the Dolphins at this point, but that's a dude who'll be hired in 36 seconds once he gets fired once he moves on from the Dolphins. And if I had any influence in any NFL, headquarters, I'd be the first one to go get him because I like what a nerd he is. I like his offensive tactics, and he may be Wanstead, an offensive coordinator, although Wanstead was a defensive coordinator.
Right. Yeah.
He may be a coordinator, not a head coach.
I like that's him. What I've seen that happen, Lou. Whether it's Norv Turner, whether it's Dave Wanstead, brilliant coordinators, but their personalities did not lend them to be a head coach. And again, I always say the successful head coaches have it. Now I can't tell you what it is, but I can tell you, they have it when they walk into a room. You pay attention. You treat them differently. Norv Turner walks in the room. What's up, Norv? You even Wanstead. What's up, Juan? They all have nicknames or whatever. When a head coach walks in the room, and you know it, and you see it, you sit in your chair, you pay attention.
It's not just on the football field, though. It's with interviews and all of that stuff that you can see those head coaches having it as well. Because even the media and other people are, oh, hey, he's here. Let's do this job and move on instead of kind of joking around with them.
These NFL segments are great because we get Dale.
Absolutely.
Dale is a wealth of. I want more of it. I don't know what questions to ask to get him to come out and share that kind of stuff with us. But let's keep it going, baby.
As I told Steve, I stay in my lane. I don't know a whole lot about UFC. I know the guy got poked in the eye, and that was it. So I stay in my lane.
So what do you think about the Ravens with Lamar Jackson coming back? I think they're going to be 6-6, 7-6 here coming up here in just a few weeks with Lamar coming back, even with their bad defense. You saw it last night, obviously against the bad Dolphins. I don't know if bettors are going to jump onto that bandwagon. So maybe we can find some plays on the Ravens here, or maybe they have jumped on it. We've missed that window coming up with them.
Well, I mean, they're not making it easy, Steve. I get what you're saying there. Excuse me. The Steelers are out front, but when you start to go looking at team futures for teams, let's just look at a division winner, all right? And we'll go down. I got a great idea. We ought to be able to get Baltimore at a great price, right? Yeah, minus 180. Yeah. Okay,
that's the way they've been. Yeah.
The Steelers that have the better record, they're plus 205.
Yeah. Ravens
so there's no bargain. I mean, there's no bargains. They believe. Most people believe what they see. They have faith that Baltimore is going to get back. They have tremendous help from a Cleveland team starting a rookie quarterback that's solid. Other than that, a Cincinnati team that's just cross-eyed Mary, hardly knows what to do, except for this week. And then there's Pittsburgh, who has no defense, really, and I think they get exposed this week. So this may be one of those situations where Baltimore can find themselves and by the end of the year start making their best football. Mm-hmm. But with that defense, I have a hard time elevating them to the status of teams that I would consider like Denver, Kansas City, Indianapolis.
I agree with that. Once playoffs start, then it's off that.
Well, what doesn't fit in what you just said? Denver, Kansas City, Buffalo, Indianapolis. When's the last time Indianapolis came out of your mouth when you're talking about the upper echelon of the AFC?
Well, I mean, listen, if Indy can get home field, and therefore if they had a shot to play either Buffalo or Kansas City and Indy's real.
Oh, yeah.
I think if Indy has to go to Kansas City or to Buffalo, that's going to be a much tougher task, understanding the lack of experience, the quarterback change, the coaching change. But Indy at home, somebody better watch out for, and I think that's what they're playing for. And any doubt as to what that team was doing as far as playing for their deceased owner should be set aside, because this is a focused group with great skill players, a quarterback and a head coach that are synchronizing, and one of the best offensive lines in football. Somebody better respect it.
Isn't it fascinating to you when you see these quarterbacks? Sam Darnold last year gets out of his situation, goes to Minnesota, pairs with a head coach who knows what he's doing. They win 14 games. Danny Dimes was a lost cause in New York. Now he comes to Indianapolis, like, well, now it's like, well, this is a talented quarterback. He's got people around him, but also a coaching staff that supports him and put him in good positions. It's amazing to me when you see quarterbacks struggle in one place, then go to another place and have not just a little success, but big-time success.
I think oftentimes, Dale, that happens because in the first situation, they never had either the team around him. Young Carr in Houston 2 decades ago, that kid was ruined by his draft position and where he went. He never got a chance, and he didn't stick around long enough. But you mentioned Darnold now. You mentioned other Wentz to a degree. These quarterbacks that get recycled, chewed out, and spit and refuse to quit, they stay and they stay and they stay. Geno Smith oftentimes get a second opportunity, and when they do, they've now matured and they can understand what NFL defenses are doing. The quarterbacks that don't have this aren't going to succeed ultimately, in my opinion, and that's why I would take the kid in San Diego, the kid for the Chargers, before any of the other quarterbacks, except for maybe Allen, because I think Allen has this. But if you can get ahead of Baltimore in a playoff situation and they're down 10-3, that team is unable to play a game that requires the quarterback to sit and pick from the pocket. He's not built for that, and therefore not the kind of quarterback I want on my team, though he's a superstar athlete and a great MVP for the league.
One other quarterback that I think gets lost because he's down there in Florida, Baker Mayfield is a prime example. I mean, he was tossed to the Lions in Cleveland, and he was immature, and everything was against him. And now all of a sudden he's down in Tampa Bay, and he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
Found the right situation, and the kid matured. I mean, he's an avid Christian.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't when he was young because he got all the money and went out and he liked margaritas like we all do.
Yeah.
Well, he's a different kind of a guy now. He's matured. He's focused. He's worried about legacy, and he got hooked up with a great system, some great wide receivers, and it's working for him. It tells you that perseverance is something that these young kids understand, and they don't go away. Most people think, oh, well, Herbert for San Diego, what's he won? He hasn't won anything. Yeah, give him time. He's going to kick that door in. He wants to win. It's not like he's saying, oh, well, I can't win. I'm not going to do that. That's what fans think. Athletes are wired different.
Hey, since you brought up the AFC there with the Steelers and everybody, the Ravens, you mentioned the Bengals in that, and you kind of said, well, the Bengals this week, kind of a deal. Joe Flacco might not even play in this game with his shoulder injury. It's kind of up in the air right now. They got the Bears this weekend, and I know in the past a lot of people have been putting money on the Bears here as they've, been winning. They had a bad week last week and everything. With Joe Flacco's situation right now, Bears are 2.5 point favorites going into this game. Has this line moved a lot?
Yeah, it has. The look-ahead line on Bears and Sin City was Cincy -1.5. Now Bears are 2.5. There's your red light. Bing, bing, bing. Overreaction time. And most of the overreaction now in the last few years has been rung up by VSINs and other networks and the NFL network and such, who start to talk about injuries and they don't think this guy's going to play and they don't think that guy's going to play. And by Wednesday, Thursday, everybody's saying, yeah, Flacco ain't playing. He's probably not playing. They're probably not going to play. But hey, Joe effing Flacco is playing. And since he's live in this game, I mean, when you look at the DVOA, the Bears 21st on offense, 24th on defense. Their rush defense, 26th DVOA of 32 teams. Oh, by the way, Cincinnati's offense is the third best rushing attack in the NFL. Cincinnati's going to rush the ball right down the Bears' throats, expose them right up the middle. I think Cincinnati might be my best bet of the week.
Yeah, it's. I had a feeling there'd be a big movement there with the Joe Flacco news and things. So that actually is kind of shocking. From that perspective, you also, we talked a little bit about the Colts already, but Steelers going into this, Colts 3-point favorites going into this a game as well. I'm not high on the Steelers this week. I'm not high on them in a lot of weeks, to be honest with you. But this week especially, right? Colts is a 3-point favorite going into this game. Now I get confused. I'm not the savvy gambler that a lot of people are out there. Is 3 a good number to go on, or would you rather see a 3.5? Or a 2.5, if you were to look at a game where it is a 3, you would kind of wait for it to move? Or is 3 a good number to bet on? Obviously, you get the push.
Well, 3 is better than 2.5 if you're taking a dog. I mean, listen, 15.8% of NFL games land on 3. Yeah. So if I like the favorite, I want to give 2.5. Mm-hmm. And if I like the underdog, I want to give 3.5. And oftentimes 3 is a good number because we know that 83% of games, the point spread doesn't come down to it. Mm-hmm. So only 17% of the games is when the point spread comes down to it. So if you just want to win, pick the winner and forget about the point spread.
Forget about all of that.
I don't often do that, but I will tell you in this game, 82% of the bets and 93% of the money is on Indianapolis, and that number really hasn't changed a whole bunch. Look ahead was Indy 2.5. It's now 3. Mm-hmm. For that thing to pop over and go to 3.5, at that point in time, I'd have to look at the Steelers, even though the Steelers defense is the platoon that doesn't belong with the other 3 platoons in that setup. Steeler offense, decent. Offense for the Colts, number 1 in the league, and the defense for the Colts, number 15. The 24th ranked Steeler defense isn't what doesn't belong. And if Indy is smart, and I think they are, they're going to run ball control, use those horses on the offensive line and the best back in the league, and control the ball, get a lead, and make it hard for Pittsburgh, who's really out there shopping for a wide receiver right now, trying to complement their offense that is, for the most part, only good and not great.
Now, we got 2 games this weekend, which are my favorite things, Dale. I've determined these are my favorite things. 2 games with double-digit favorites here for this weekend coming up here. We have Saints-Rams this weekend. Saints making a quarterback change. But Rams are 14.5-point favorites going into this game. NFL games, those are large point spreads. But then the Saints changed quarterbacks to the rookie, a local kid here, right?
Tyler Shuck.
Absolutely. From another local kid, Spencer Rattler. Rams in this 14.5 here. You always say all the time, look, go where the money isn't at. Go on that other side. Can you do that here with the Saints with the quarterback change?
Yeah, I think, Steve, that the only thing I can do with this game, to be completely honest with you, is consider the under, because I think it's going to be hard for a sluggish New Orleans team in the beginning to find any success
Okay.
uh,
40,
offensively.
43 and a half right now, by the way. Yeah.
What is it, 43 and a half?
I have
And it was
43 and a half on
44.
FanDuel. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So, boy, I sure like 44 better. I'd shop for 44s, but be that as it may.
But has the line changed with the quarterback change, or is it just one Saints quarterback on the over-under line, at least, right? 43. By the way, it's over-under 43 and a half. They're both minus 110. So even the NFL, even the gambling's like, huh?
Now we're getting Steve the journalist, because that's actually a good question. It was 45. It was 45 and a half to look ahead.
Okay.
So it's ticked down a point, right? And it should, because most people betting early are thinking, I think, and that is that it might be tough for New Orleans to score with a new quarterback, let alone against a team in the Rams that's defense is 8th against the run, 2nd against the pass, 2nd overall best defense in the NFL. So I still like the under, even if it's at 43 there.
Okay, perfect. And then the other big one here, there's one that's 9.5, but the other big one, 13.5 favorites. The Packers are over the Carolina Panthers this weekend. Also 43 and a half, by the way, on the over-under on that one.
Let's understand, last week and for the last 2 weeks, favorites have been clobbering and winning in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And so all these favorites and these inflated lines are real easy to get intoxicated with. So I can tell you that I'm probably looking at, in my picks this week, I'm looking at dogs. Cincinnati's surely one of them. I think Minnesota could be one of them.
Really?
And I'm not afraid of double-digit dogs in the NFL. I may be afraid of New Orleans, but I may not be afraid of the whatever was
the Panthers. Yeah, Panthers 13 and a half point.
I mean, the Panthers got a decent defense, and listen, Green Bay's just looking to go out there and win a game.
Absolutely. So that's what's fascinating. Wait, you just said you like Vikings as a dog this week. They're 8.5 point dogs right now against the Lions. It was JJ McCarthy coming back into this game. And I'm the fan here, right? I don't look at it the same way you do, but I think the Lions are just going to demolish the Vikings.
That's the water cooler game. That's your water cooler game.
Yeah,
hey, it's a nice place to be, Lou. It's comfortable.
Anytime there's
water.
a double-digit spread in the National Football League, again, those don't happen very often.
They don't, because the wise guys just blindly take them usually. Now, and that's what they'll do with these. They'll wait and hope they get ticked up 14 and a half, and then you'll see it go right back to 14, because there'll be a bunch of guys that take that hook.
It's amazing. It's amazing to me when you say things like, well, the over-under is 43 and a half. I'd really like it to be 44. The normal person doesn't to give two hoots about a half a point.
Well, but think about it. 24-20. I mean, that's 24-20 beats me, and that's an easy outcome. 23-20. Now I got kickers, and so there are key numbers in totals as there are. Now those key numbers used to be 36, 38, 41, 40. Now key numbers for totals in NFL are more like 40, 44, 48, 51, 54, because there's more points.
And one other question, and maybe Steve's asked you this in the past, with the extended length of field goals made this year, does that change lines? Does that change your thinking? Then you get the ball with 30 seconds left on the 35-yard line. All you got to gain is 20 yards to have a shot at a field goal in this year's NFL. Does that change your thought process at all?
Only regarding totals. And the totals that I get involved in tend to be towards the end of the year, and there's great amounts of adverse weather involved. So the field goal becomes less a factor in Chicago in a hurricane in December than it does in New Orleans in a dome in December. And so you kind of have to take it game by game. But I think eventually what we see, I suppose you got to narrow the goalposts, don't you? I don't know what they're going to do, but these kickers now they get to use their own
That's what I
ball.
say. Stop inflating the balls.
They have a prepped up ball that they can use, and I think it's exciting. I like it. I know there was a lot of talk when Dallas was in Denver last week that they were going to let that young kid for Dallas who's got a cannon for a leg try a 65, 68 yarder and break the record. Well, it didn't happen, but there was talk about that happening.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's the easiest way to solve it is, go back to, fixing the balls all week.
I went through the transition of, you get the game balls, you put them in the kicker and punter, put them in a bag, they bang them against the wall, they throw them in the dryer, they do all this stuff to it and rub them down, to then I went to the K ball, where it's literally out of the box, and that
hard
sucks.
As a rock.
And that sucks.
Yeah, it's just fascinating how if it affects the totals is kind of the interesting side of it.
And to me, if I'm a kicker, I'm Tom Bradying the thing, but I'm not letting the air out. I'm putting a few extra pounds in there, let that thing jump off like that.
Exactly, right? One thing I do have a question on before we get into the local team that plays Monday night here, and actually another big game, but Jaguars Raiders. The reason why I'm asking about this game is right now Jaguars are 2.5. Jaguars were an easy win early this season because I was high on them. I've kind of come off of that bandwagon a little bit. They got their butts kicked over in London for that last London game. But then we get the word, not that he's going to be a big line mover, but we get the word that Travis Hunter is now on IR for the season. He was contributing to this team, not at the level that he should have been with the draft pick he was, but he's on IR now. Jaguars 2.5-point favorites against the Raiders. I think the Jaguars on paper are better than the Raiders, and ideally, but that's a small spread for me. Has that line moved a lot going into this with their Jaguars' last big loss, and then who they're playing?
No, it hasn't. The factor in this game is that the Jags are +8 in turnover ratio, and Las Vegas is -5. Mm-hmm. And if that continues, this is an easy Jags win. So, I know the young Hunter, it's unfortunate he's out. I don't think that makes a huge difference, although it ticks them a little bit on pass defense because that's really where he's a hell of a cornerback. But the Jacksonville's the more balanced team, and the inept Raider offense, 30th in rushing offense, 30th in passing offense.
Terrible.
They're just struggling mightily right now. And boy, I think if Jacksonville can put 17 points on the board, they're going to cover.
Probably, right? So that's why that game intrigued me from just the the line status point. Because 2.5 to me, I'm like, that's really low against the Raiders because of the Raiders' reasons you just said there. Obviously, the big game before we get to the Cardinals game on Monday night with you, Chiefs Bills on Sunday as well. I don't know why this isn't a Sunday night game when you have Seahawks Commanders as the other one, but 1.5-point favorite right now to the Chiefs. Were the Chiefs the favorite in the look-ahead line? And what are you looking at on this game?
The Chiefs were the favorite in the look-ahead line. That's correct. However, there are numerous twos out there. Okay. 2 at Circa, 2 at Superbook, 2 at Caesars. So this number is more 2 than it is 1.5.
Well, it's 1.5 minus 114 right now on FanDuel, so it's leaning to even there.
FanDuel's FanDuel. I mean, that's.
I know.
That's the funny paper.
It's what us laymen's do. I know.
it's all good. 1.5 or 2, and it was 1.5 or 2 a week ago. So not a big change. The total's gone from 50.5 to 52.5. Yeah. I can see that these teams tend to throw points upon one another, and Buffalo must have points. All Buffalo has is that quarterback, no receivers, a good running back, but they got to outscore you because their defense is absolutely no good. Kansas City second off, number 2 offense, number 9 defense. Buffalo, number 4 offense, number 21 D, and 30th against the rush. I think we see Pacheco. I think we see Hunt. I think we see the other young rookie running back catching passes out of the backfield for Kansas City. But I would say, and I'm not going to say a 6-point teaser because the prices on those have got out of whack. I'm interested a little bit in Buffalo. If I can tease them up and use them as one leg in a teaser, so a 7-point tease, Buffalo on 2 to 9. I'm interested in that because they got the offense that can come back from 14 down, throw a touchdown up, and backdoor you.
Yeah, the way you were talking at the beginning, I was about to say, Dale, I'm changing my pick from Buffalo to Kansas City. The way you were talking at the beginning there, but it is fascinating, that game and who's going to come out on that. And the way it usually goes is the Bills will win regular season, then they lose in the playoffs, against them. So
understand also, I have a Mount Rushmore bet on the under Buffalo season total wins this year. So a Kansas City 1 or 2 point win, 5-point win wouldn't kill me because it gives me a chink on Buffalo. And if I play the teaser, it gives me a win. I could easily see me sitting in that kind of a scenario.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the funny thing about this is even if you lose one, you can win on something bigger or something better and all that, the way you play it there. Then, of course,
I'm trying to win them both.
Yeah, well, that's the idea thing, right?
I'm a pig, Steve. I'm trying to get them both.
See, you're so much
greedy,
better
Lou.
than me because I make my picks on Friday, and I forget what my picks are by Sunday. So you're much more astute at that.
That's a great opinion, and I would invite you to tell everyone.
So on the Monday night game, of course, Cardinals go to Cowboys. We did not pick. We're going to pick this game. We're going to wait till Monday, namely because there's still some question marks on who the starting quarterback is for the Arizona Cardinals going into this game in Dallas. At least, visually,
Why would
they haven't
that make
announced
a difference? How many points difference do you see between the two, Steve?
Well, between Bissett and Kyler, in my mind.
Well, is there another quarterback?
Well, no, but in my mind, Cardinals can get in a shootout with the Cowboys with Brissett. They cannot do it with Kyler Murray. That's how I'm looking at this game. They would have to keep Dallas from scoring 44 points if Kyler Murray's the starter. If the Cowboys score 44 points, Brissett can maybe keep that offense in line with it and score with them. That's how I'm looking at it. Dale, your thoughts on that?
The proof is that Brissett has scored more points when he's been the quarterback than Kyler Murray. and so when you look at it, it's confusing to me because Kyler Murray seems to be the more talented guy, but yet there's something off there with him, the receivers, the play calls. There's something out there where it seems like Brissett runs this offense and has more success in the way that this offense is called than Kyler Murray.
So to answer your question, I think there's a big difference in who starts this game on Monday night.
What's the point spread difference?
2.5 right now.
That was my question.
Yeah, 2.5 right now.
So you're telling me that when Brissett goes in over Kyler Murray, the Cardinals should be credited with 2.5 more points. Brissett's a 2.5 point to the line better than Murray is.
We're not telling you anything. We're asking you. You're the guy that knows all this stuff.
What I'm arguing is 2.5 plus 2.5 Cardinals with Brissett. I'm jumping on that every day of the week. Plus 2.5 with Kyler Murray, I'm probably not jumping on that.
Yeah, and I don't think there's no difference between the two there as much as what you've seen and what we feel, and the fact that the offense did. I saw what it did with Brissett, and I think the head coaches saw it, and so it'll be interesting to see who they choose as their quarterback. But to me, it doesn't matter because that quarterback's commandeering the 29th best rushing attack, which is 3 away from the worst, and the 22nd ranked passing attack. The good news is the elixir for an anemic offense like that is the 31st ranked Dallas defense.
Absolutely.
Can't stop a nosebleed.
Yeah.
So there's hope for the Arizona offense. The issue is the 8th ranked Dallas offense is potent, coming in with guns a-blazing, and they're going to be playing against a good 14th ranked Arizona D. And so the Arizona D is going to have to find a way to stand up. I don't care who the quarterback is, but I think that if Arizona can score 24 or 27, they have a chance to win this game. The look ahead was 3.5. Now it's Dallas 2.5.
Well,
So people are kind of thinking about the Cardinals a little bit.
Yeah, say looking at for 3.5 Dallas is favorites, and now it's 2.5, right? So yeah, people are putting money on the Cardinals. Okay,
they are, and so to me, at 3.5, it's probably a no play. At 2.5, it might be a Dallas money line play. I don't have a lot of. I just think there's been some injuries. The wide receiver thing between Murray and the young Harrison is concerning. There's a lot of concerns of what's going on in Arizona for me.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we're kind of going back and forth on is like in terms of, like I said, this number Brissett plays. I'm going Cardinals plus 2.5. They could possibly win this game. And if he does get into that shootout side, or at least Dallas puts up some points. Because right now, if Kyler plays, your kind of thought is, Dallas scores 21 points, you're not beating them. Kyler Murray's not going to score more than that. He hasn't been able to, in the whole part of the season. So, from that perspective, it's fascinating to see, not knowing the answer to that here on Friday, of course.
Lou, do you take into account at all the fact that Kyler Murray has never lost in Jerry's world? Does that come into your thought process at all when you're looking at games?
High school, college, pros, never lost in Dallas.
It does not. What really matters to me is which quarterback the coach chooses, because the one he chooses is the one that he believes will score the most points. And if he does choose Brissett, I think he believes that the offense will run better on him. And if he does choose Murray, he believes that the offense will run better than Murray, despite what Steve says. I know the head coach is looking in on this show, and now he's got a lot to think about. He doesn't agree.
They're not changing anything, Lou. They're not changing anything. They don't care.
Yeah, because they don't start practice till 10:30 on Thursdays and Fridays just to hear Lou talk.
It's fascinating coming up on Monday. But if it is Brissett, it's like, I don't know, will that line move, up to that 3 line, like you said, or move down a little bit more. People put more money on the Cardinals and move that line smaller, which would make you kind of look at the Cowboys a little bit more, right, as that line does move. So,
but if people early in the week, and we know those tend to be more educated bettors, most bettors don't bet till Sunday. Mm-hmm. But if people early in the week are betting the Cardinals, because we've seen it in the line, and they're not concerned with the quarterback, why are you?
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Because I worry about the dumbest things, Lou. That's why.
Well, no, listen, I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. These shows, Good Morning America and Football in the Morning and all these things, and the VSINs and everything, they're screaming and yelling. They have to overreact about everything. And right now, the hot button is injuries, and everybody's overreacting to it.
Absolutely.
Lou, I got one more non-football related because we're overtime and all that. Does it surprise you that the NBA, all the gambling stuff, happened, 10 days ago, and it's completely gone away and died down? As far as media coverage and in the press and all that. Does that surprise you at all?
Nothing in America surprises me, because if you have enough money, you can get whatever done you need.
Okay. The interesting thing on that is, the commissioner came out and said that they had asked the gambling partners, FanDuel, DraftKings, to take away a lot of player props going into this season. He said that, before the scandal came out, and some reporters went out there and they have proven that these gambling sites were asked to take individual player props down, and they have done so. Not as many are available on the NBA this year. That tells me the NBA knew they had a gambling problem within their ranks, and they wanted to squash it, hopefully quietly, and then now it's come out there. And that's what's more alarming to me is that's what that tells me. And I could be speculating. I am speculating. But the NBA knew about their gambling problem before and didn't fix it until now. That's alarming.
Yeah, what I'll say is that as far as props are concerned, it's the legal gambling community that caught all this, and that's what most people don't understand. All the gamblers, they just want these, and believe me, to get a bet down $2,000 on a prop is not easy to do. You either have to have a network or you have to have, as these guys did, La Cosa Nostra, and finally being swept under the carpet.
Yeah.
This is the head of the FBI and the U.S. government. This ain't being swept under the carpet. Believe me, you're going to hear more about this. Just be patient.
Okay.
Yeah, it is fascinating to see out there. So, Lou, appreciate you mending it with my my week that changed something. So I appreciate you coming in today. Next week, back on Thursday. Are you game? Are you available?
Next week, I'm back on Thursday. I'm coming to that spacious 7th floor office area to take in the views and speak with you guys in person.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
We'll see you next week. Appreciate you joining us and everything. We're into overtime, but I want to end the show with this for you, Dale. The WNBA and the Players Union agreed to a 30-day extension to their CBA. Why? There's no games until like May. Why are we doing that?
I don't know. I think you should end the show with a happy birthday to your sweetie.
Happy birthday, Autumn. Lou, say happy birthday to my significant other, my favorite person in the world, Autumn, for me, would you?
Autumn, happy birthday. I hope you have a great day.
See, Lou and I are on the same page.
You guys are gonna make her mad at me because you didn't do enough as those guys did. Lou, we'll see you next week. Dale, get out of here. McCollum on Business coming up next, folks, and we'll see you there. Have a great one, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Love you.